Let's talk about anxiety. Other than me being chronically online, I have chronic anxiety. You know, in my 20s, I was diagnosed with a myriad of things, and one of them is chronic anxiety, which is a bit of a fun pill to swallow, especially when you've been dealing with it all your life. So I've tried writing a script down for this like 4 or 5 times, and nothing really comes out the way exactly that I want to, like, especially when it comes to like explaining what it's like to have anxiety attacks and like being always anxious. It's so difficult because it's something that I can't rationalize. Every time I write it down, I'm thinking I'm making sense, and I read it back and I'm like, whoa, bro, this doesn't make any sense at all, dude. Like, what are you even talking about? How will people understand this? That's why this thing is not like anything that's meant to be educational based or like trying to give facts or whatnot. And it's just mainly my own experience of it and like what I kind of do to survive the chaos and the mayhem that is it. But also I don't want to give it that kind of power in those kind of words, but for lack of better words, that's how it is. So I'm guessing in this video I want to cover a few things, like what does it mean to me to be an anxious person? What is it like to have all the anxious symptoms, or whatever we want to call it, or even whatever the diagnosis, if I could have another word for it. But mainly I'm also going to go through how I choose to deal with it and how I kind of battle and kind of not even battle, how I overcome it. Because at the end of the day, it's about overcoming it, and I don't want to ever look at it like it's something that has so much control over my life, when at a stage where it did feel like that, but I've overcome it. And doesn't mean that I don't have it anymore. I don't deal with it like on a daily basis, but to the degree that it was before, it's not that anymore. So now let's get into the business of what it's like, or what is anxiety and stuff. So basically, when I have anxiety, it's a myriad of feelings that I go through and experiences. I initially used to feel it as like more of like a mental game, my thoughts were scattered and I couldn't like really make sense of stuff. Then it built up to physical pains or physical discomfort, where when I was in my early 20s, it used to be a whole thing of that. I used to get a lot of tension and tightness in my chest, right? So it wouldn't even be the thing of like I'm losing my breath and I can't breathe, but it feels like someone or something is taking its hands and it's standing behind me and it's like pulling, like trying to break my chest open. And it was such a surreal feeling, because like you get so anxious, then next thing you know, your chest hurts, your hands start to tingle, all kinds of weird stuff. I feel like it was something a bit more worrying, the hand tingling thing, but nonetheless, that's how it kind of was for me. And then it developed into now also still having the physical chest stuff. Then it developed into gut issues. Now, the whole problem with it being gut issues, it creates a little bit of confusion for me, well, initially in the beginning, because like you get so much stomach discomfort, you can't tell if you're hungry, if you're anxious, or if you ate something bad. So when it comes to the whole gut issues, which I've started to develop it into my mid-20s, it started like my anxiety changes as like all the symptoms and how I experience it changes as time goes by. And it's kind of like a thing of like, as I learn to deal with it, sometimes it's a bit smart and a bit tricky that it finds a way to kind of weasel itself back into my life and make it a bit of a headache to deal with. So I want to keep this kind of short and sweet in terms of how to deal with it and what I do to kind of mitigate the symptoms and whatnot as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, people are always going to be naturally anxious. It's just a thing of the human experience. But now it's just trying to control the extent and the severity of how it feels like to experience it. So when I try to deal with it and get over anxiety attack or my anxiety, I go over like 2 basic things. I breathe, 1. 2, I ride the wave. So I kind of want to start with like number 2 first. I should have changed the order, but it is what it is. So riding the wave is just accepting that, okay, cool, right now I'm feeling anxious, right? I'm letting myself feel what I need to feel, and just remind myself that, okay, cool, like, even though my stomach feels like it needs to explode and like my chest is like being ripped apart by a pack of wild whatevers, that it will eventually pass by. And it's easier said than done, but really reminding yourself that, look, dude, okay, shit, I'm so anxious, but like, it will pass by. Like, not that I'm going to feel any easier about the situation itself, or the situation's going to change, whatever is making me anxious, but it's like, dude, this feeling is fleeting. It's all going to change. Like, that's how life is, you know. As Miss Brookhazen, my number one English teacher, used to say, life is a sine graph. It has its ups and downs. So eventually that feeling will go away. So you have to just stand strong and fight against the tide or the wind of it. So then we can get back to one, which is breathing. Breathing is a lot harder than it seems, if I were to explain it this way. So basically, it's just trying to control your thoughts and trying to kind of calm down your heart rate, because usually at that time your heart is racing, things are just going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So now it's the only way to kind of slow it down, from my personal experience, is to breath work, right? So there's multiple ways that you can do it. It's actually just breathing, feeling your body. Let yourself be present in the moment, because for me, when I get super anxious, I end up dissociating, right, to try cope with whatever I'm dealing with. So with doing breath work, it helps me ground myself, remind myself where I'm at, what I'm feeling, though the feelings are not great, but it just kind of somehow soothes it. It makes it a lot less intense, a lot less scary than it is. So I would say, like, really doing breath work is really, really important. Controlling your heart rate, getting it down, and just feeling your body. And then once you can feel your body, you can kind of like move past it, you know what I mean? So yeah, basically, yeah, that's the video. It's cooking hot out here. Feels like winter is over, but yeah, if you liked it, then that's good. I love you, dude. Peace.